You ever see a finished illustration with a fully rendered background by that one artist you really like that makes you go, oh my gosh, I want to draw something like that? So then you find some reference that you think would be good practice and tell yourself, okay, this is the start of my incredible journey with backgrounds. And, well, it sucks. And then you just kind of give up and decide backgrounds aren't for you. Yeah, so I do that at least once a month. So anyways, I decided to record it all so that I can't quit when I hate it 1 hour in. Surely nothing will go wrong. Alright, I'm at the end of day 1, and it went fine. I forgot to turn on time-lapse replay for the first one, but that's fine because it's not great. I think the foreground and the snow are okay, and I like the colors, but I had no idea what I was doing with the trees. Especially the trees on the top left, you can kind of see I just gave up. I also think my values weren't great. I wasn't going dark enough in a lot of the darker areas. So next I decided to just practice trees for a little bit. So, sorry in advance, I don't know what happened, but the quality on these time-lapses suck. Anyway, the second one went bad, like really bad. As I drew this piece, I honestly questioned if I will be able to improve at all in a week. I think I was too ambitious with this and tried to draw it too quickly. I kind of like the grass though, so at least there's that. I think another issue is that I'm constantly torn on stylization, like how much do I stylize, how much do I simplify the image, etc. The third one went better. I think I like the general idea and process of what I did here. It's just the proportions and the leaf clumps feel a bit off. I like the idea of using a larger textured brush first and then refining it with a smaller hard brush. I've seen people suggest zooming out a lot, and that's good advice, but I think it's been hurting me a little since I kind of just stay zoomed out. Zooming out while working on details just means it sucks when I view it normally, so that's something I've been keeping in mind. I like the next one I did. While drawing this one, I realized that when adding space between leaves, there's more space right next to the trunks and branches, which is probably obvious, but I hadn't consciously thought about it before. Then I attempted a grass field, and for my last drawing of the day, tried to redeem myself with this. Overall, I think it was a good first day. The first drawing of day 2 went pretty well. At this point, I think I had a general idea of first blocking in the right colors and shapes, and then figuring out how to refine details from there. You can see me struggle a little with the leaves and the grass, but I think it turned out well. I didn't really like the clouds, so I decided to focus on that for the day. The first one went pretty bad, partly because I think I used the wrong brush for it, also because the colors were tricky, so I decided to try some easier photos. The second one went better, but still not great. At this point, I didn't really feel like I had an idea of how to detail and refine everything, so I decided to experiment more with the third. The third one and last drawing of the day went pretty well, I think. I approach it with the same process as what I do with grass, which is do big shapes, then lots of messy medium shapes, and then refine it with a small hard brush. First drawing of day 3 went well too. I think I'm always most motivated at the beginning of the day, so I spend the most time on the first one. After that, I wanted to try something other than grass, trees, and clouds, so I decided to focus on mountains for the day. I think the time-lapse speaks for itself, but I could not figure out how to do this. The colors and shapes did not make any sense to me, so as I have before, I immediately tried again with a simpler reference. The next one is decent. I paid more attention to colors this time, and I think it went okay. The fourth drawing is one I'm really proud of. Honestly, I think figuring out the right colors at the very beginning of the piece is like 90% of the challenge. After that, you just need to make sure you don't stray from those colors and make sure that your shapes are decent. In this painting, I spend most of the time detailing the peak in the sun and mostly did the rest with a big texture brush. Unfortunately, all the tutorial videos are correct, and detailing the focal point while leaving everything else rough really is the best way to go. And that was it for the day, is what I want to say. I did one more, and it went okay. I struggled a lot with colors and shapes, and kinda just gave up eventually. I don't know, things just weren't making sense for me with that one. I was really struggling with motivation on day 4 since I was getting pretty tired of drawing backgrounds, so I decided to try and make it more fun. First, I decided to paint a landscape but be way more experimental with the colors. I like to have really nonsensical and colorful drawings, so this would be more in line with my art style anyway. I think it went pretty well. I didn't have a deep thought process when doing this, I just added purple at the edges and blue in the shadows and hoped it went well, which this time thankfully it did. After that, I decided to do some studies of Breath of the Wild. The first one went not great, but I don't hate it. I think I just had no idea how to detail it, so I just gave up really quickly. After that, I did my last drawing of the day, which I think went pretty well. I struggled a little bit with refining shapes at the beginning, but I persevered until it started to look the way I wanted it to. I think I'm struggling a lot with polishing and refining my pieces, though that's something I struggle with in general since I get bored of pieces quickly. Since the piece went well, I decided to add in a messy Link and his horse, though I was too lazy to draw them properly. I kinda wish I drew more on day 4, but I'm glad I was at least able to draw some things I liked. Guys, day 5 went pretty bad. My hand was a bit sore, and I was still pretty tired of drawing backgrounds, so my motivation was at an all-time low. The first drawing went pretty well, I think. I like the colors, and while I didn't detail it that much, I think it looks decent. From like 3 feet away. Yeah, it's all downhill from here. I like the second one. I like my use of a texture brush beyond the initial block and color stage, and I'm proud of my decision to blur the background. I think it's decent. The third one was fine. I really didn't know what to do with the ocean and was too tired to try to make it work. I think the colors are decent. I like this rock. I don't know. The fourth one, I just kinda gave up. As you have seen in this video, I haven't practiced nighttime lighting scenarios nearly as much, and while I thought this would be fast and easy, none of the colors worked. And that was it. I finished the day feeling quite disappointed with the determination to lock in on day 6. Did I lock in on day 6? Yeah, I think so. Since my goal was always to learn to draw backgrounds for characters, that's what I practiced on day 6. Now, the first drawing went fine. It's pretty messy and unrefined, but I think it's alright. I do not enjoy spending lots of time detailing pieces, and for where I am right now, I think that's okay. I don't have interest in making those 10-hour, fully rendered gorgeous illustrations, so it's okay if I don't practice that right now. I'm much more interested in creating the illusion of detail through a cleanly rendered focal point and a well-made background. So for the second drawing, it took me an embarrassing amount of time to realize that the person in the middle looked to be floating in a really weird way. I'm not sure if that's because it's AI or a poorly done Photoshop thing, or if it's real and just looks really weird, but yeah. I'm pretty bad at identifying AI outputting realistic styles, and if it is AI, I'm sad it got me. It turned out okay in the end, I think, but I'm not super proud of it. Now, this piece is a mess. I really wanted to go crazy with colors and stylization, and, well, it goes okay. The values are awful, the character doesn't stand out at all, and the cloud shapes are very messy even though I tried to save it with line art at the end, but I kinda love it. I experimented, it was fun, and I don't think the end result looks terrible. Fourth drawing went well. I don't really have much to say about this one. With these types of videos, everyone expects a masterpiece at the end representing all of your growth. This was making me nervous, so I procrastinated by doing 2 simpler pieces first. I think they went pretty well. I struggled a lot on the sunflowers with the first one, but it's okay. The second one is very simple, but I think it looks pretty good. I like my decision to airbrush light in at the end. I think it looks nice. And here we are, the last drawing of the video. I decided to draw Frieren since that anime inspired me a lot with its gorgeous landscapes and environments. I'll just let the time-lapse play as I talk about this week. Do I think I mastered backgrounds in the past week? No, of course not. But I do think I got significantly better and figured out a process that works for me. Now, you might be thinking, you only did landscapes and nature type backgrounds. There are way more types of backgrounds that artists draw that you did not practice in this video. And to that I say, you are absolutely correct, which is why this video is part 1 of 3. Part 2 will focus on human-made structures, and part 3 will focus on interiors. I don't want to tell you to subscribe, because this is my first video and frankly it sucks, but if you're interested, maybe consider it. I'd appreciate it. I'll definitely take a break first though, and maybe do a different video since all these backgrounds have really tired me out. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.